All right, greetings and welcome into another edition of First Friday on the Now We Know podcast. And this one is way delayed, and that is totally my fault. But it has given me a chance to do a little redecorating just in time to welcome back Brian Flynn from Super7. As usual, sir, it's wonderful to have you. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course, obviously we got a whole lot of redecorating. I'm taking in the cat's lair, but I'm also taking in the new fancy microphone, peeking out, stage left mine, stage right for you there, leveling up at this point.
At one of these points, I'm going to have like decent lighting and things going on too, when I get around to.
We're going to have bounce lights coming from the side. You're going to have like a little person there holding your coffee for you.
Yeah. Instead of little people who like to come in and see what I'm doing in the middle of recording. But this is good because it's actually giving us a chance to talk in a time where there's a lot going on as far as ThunderCats goes. So I thought we would definitely talk about that. But then also, Toy Fair starts at the end of next week, and I can't believe it. So maybe we'll touch on that a little bit because even though it's later this year, it seems like how is it starting already? So yeah,
I would not disagree with that.
Well, with ThunderCats, let's see. So like 3 weeks ago, I got Series 10 delivered to me. Series 11 is like right around the corner, I think, to be shipping. You are currently taking pre-orders for Series 12. You revealed what I assume is Series 13 with the Sky Cutter and Retro Vulture Man via Toy Collector Magazine. And, this little thing behind me that everyone has been waiting excitedly for, the Cat's Lair, has arrived.
Yes. So what you're saying is it's been a busy month and a half for ThunderCats.
Yeah, it has, and it's crazy to even think it. If you were thinking about this even 3 or 4 years ago, it's like, would all this be happening with ThunderCats, especially all at one time right now, and no one would believe it. But my goodness, I'm so glad that it is.
Yes, it's been, it's also feels good to have people finally get the stuff that you've been working on for so long, because even for us, like, as anybody who's watched any of these podcasts knows, like, we're well into 2026 already. So it's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, wait, I can't wait for you to get this in your hand, but it's going to be a while before it ever gets there. So, you've got the time leading up to it, then you reveal it, then the time leading into delivering it, and the timelines get longer and longer, it feels like sometimes, even though actually they're getting much, much shorter. And especially on some of the future stuff, even shorter than that, as we're being able to do more things ahead of time. But yeah, lots of stuff and more stuff. So back to what we talked about. So obviously up for pre-order right now, you've got Cruncher, you've got Nida, you've got Safari Joe. So that's a pretty cool wave, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, in fact, if I was fast enough to
to
follow you, there we go. So it's a wave of 3, but kind of 3.5, because Safari Joe, comes with his pal in there, and it's a 3-figure wave. We've got, with Cruncher being oversized for sure. I feel like this is a good balance in terms of getting new characters and balancing it with the cost in the neighborhood of what a normal wave would run, right?
Yeah, and Safari Joe's especially one of those characters that people have been asking for so long. So I feel like that's one where it's like, oh, okay, finally, where, everybody's got their favorites for, I need you to do this first. I need you to do that first. I want Lunatics. I want Berserkers. I want army builders. I want this character. I want that character. But Safari Joe is pretty much a consensus for everybody on one of those that's been missing that needed to happen.
Yeah, he's one of those favorite vintage figures. And really, I was looking over, I've got a great illustration of, it's a toy box illustration by this great artist that essentially like shows an open toy box of all these different toy lines with all the individual figures in it. And looking through it, it was like, man, we are really getting through like all of the characters that had, you know, vintage figures back in the 80s. So I would say Safari Joe is definitely one of the most popular ones, still holding out, but now he's here. So that's great.
That's my job. I'm going to bring you the toys that you want to have. Somebody will not agree with me, but that's okay.
He's one of those guys that it's like, it's such an oddball. It's like far flung in the future with cat people and reptilians and warrior women and whatnot. And then, you know, you've got this almost stereotypical looking like safari guy who is a hunter of them all. So I absolutely love that kind of thing. So as crazy as he is in terms of like, you know, putting this type of character in a mythos like ThunderCats, I think it works beautifully.
I'm sure their original impetus that they were going for something like half Safari, half Indiana Jones, sort of like early Banana Republic. It's always funny, like if you ever Google like the original Banana Republic stores with like the fake elephant tusks at the entryway, and then it was all this khaki everything. Like you're like, what? They did what when? Like,
and then the monocle and whatnot. It's like there's a little bit of Colonel Clink going on with him too. So it's like it's all over the place.
Well, he's very clearly British, right? Yeah. And that's who had the pilt, even though he doesn't have a pilt helmet. You know, that's who was doing all the safari back at that time. So
I you know what? I think if I remember, it's been a couple of years since I've watched the cartoon through. I think he had an Australian accent.
It's very possible. There was another British colony.
Yeah. So I love seeing characters like that, and like I said, it's fun to kind of tick off the new updates to the classic figures too, especially when it balances next to a character like Nada, who is, you know, those warrior women were cool parts of the cartoon, never had a shot in toy form, and she now gets to join her sister. So that's cool to see both of them in the line now at this point.
And that the Mum-Ra disguise head is super popular with people. That I was surprised how popular that head's been. I thought that was a fun nod, but like most people are like, that's not her. But so many people are like, no. But you don't understand how much I like Mum-Ra. Now, so that's the head for me.
It's Nada cosplaying as Mum-Ra cosplaying as like in the Beatles. It's like if they picked Mum-Ra instead of Ringo to take over drums for the Beatles way back in the day, he's got the hair for it in this one. So I think that's probably one of my all-time favorite Super Pack inclusions ever at this point. So it's a good choice.
Oh, well. See, there we go. And we thought it was just going to be like us being dorky about it, and it turns out it's the exact opposite.
It's it's stuff like that you know, those little winks and nods, and you know, because you guys have been good about giving, you know, little artifacts or implements or, you know, things like that along the way, but to get ahead as wild and crazy as this one, I see a lot of humorous Instagram pictures in the future for that head. So
let's hope they just stay humorous.
Yeah, exactly. and then Cruncher, it seems like it's been a minute since we've had a Berserker show up, and in my opinion, you picked the best one. He's always been my favorite of the Berserkers, and he's going to be quite a presence from the looks of the renderings with the rest of the line. So it's cool to get them going again.
It's a big old figure, that is for sure. There's a lot of mass in there, sort of like that giant simian that we had in the Turtles line.
Yes.
Not quite that big, but big.
Cruncher squaring off against Gorilla coming soon. So I think that'll be
a
good fight. Yeah. There we go. I'll just start a new Instagram page dedicated to their battles.
Their battles. And whatnot. This is them fighting over string cheese.
Perfect.
Did I just take it too abstract for you?
No. Now, I think what that does is it sets a good bar to shoot for when formulating, battles and antics that could take place between the two of them. But with these three characters, it's a very well-rounded wave, and I have to say, like my first reaction to it, I think when I saw it and all of them together, it was like just a comment on the series as a whole. It's like I think from a character perspective, this might be my favorite series in a while. So this is really strong, and I've seen a lot of positive reaction to this one. So I hope that is going to be the case for you guys.
I hope so as well. It seems to be, people seem to be pretty pumped, and I think at this point, like I said, Wave 12, we've got a pretty good group of people that are excited about what we're doing. I think so. Yeah. That's been really, really positive.
Yeah. Well,
I can see your tab up here. So you're ready to move on.
Well, I was going to say, it's not often that we kind of know about a series while another one is kind of actively looking or actively pre-ordering right now. But I think a big surprise for a lot of people was this little scoop to Blake and Toy Collector Magazine that is this series 13 now, kind of like Mandora and the Electro Charger, but with Vultureman and the Sky Cutter.
Yes, that is exactly what we're going. So I think, we were talking about, like, are there ever going to be other vehicles or other? I'm like, well, maybe, there's some stuff we're working on. And obviously the idea with this Toy Collector Magazine was actually that, it's going to debut at Toy Fair and come out on Toy Fair. So at least in the beginning, we're like, oh, then we'll reveal this sort of right after Wave 12 closes and sort of talk about what the next wave is. And then it ended up moving up, and Blake was working on some other stuff. So the reveal actually came while we were finishing 12, but I think it's still a cool one. Like, so Wave 14, for anybody that's wondering, Wave 14 will be a full wave of figures again, but sort of like what we did with Mandora and Electro Charger is sort of an in-between place. We're doing this with the Sky Cutter that obviously not just Vultureman, but other people also, use. Is that how do we, if we tried to bring this into a normal wave, it starts to get too expensive again. We're talking about how often we come back, all the things that we've discussed in the past. So it was a really cool place to sort of take a slight break in the schedule and drop in another vehicle. The figure works for it, but at the same time, if you decide you don't need this version of Vultureman because you've got the original version of Vultureman, you don't have to dive into it. The Sky Cutter, like I said, works with a lot of different characters. So, it sort of has a pretty wide variety of uses, if you will. And just a cool piece, cool wave, and something fun, like, once again, like trying to round out the whole world of ThunderCats, but also not make it like we're hitting you over the head all the time with something new, like really trying to pace it and find that happy medium, for lack of a better description.
Yeah, I think that's great, and it brings a couple of things, because I was setting up, which everything's still kind of a work in progress. It's like, all right, I've got a cool good guy vehicle. I've got probably the coolest good guy base that's ever going to wind up in my collection. It's like, the bad guys are going to need a little something to start to balance that out. And I think this is a great thing to do.
And if you want to hang a couple Sky Cutters flying around your cat's lair, that can totally work diorama style.
So you're reading my mind, because one thing I haven't done is that my we
got the thumbs up explosions.
Yeah, there, it's working now. my vac metal silver hawks are going to fly over the top of the cat's lair, and this will be a good thing to hang up with that as well. But I do appreciate as well that, as you said, this is Wave 12.5, Wave 13, whatever you're calling it, and we're getting to a place in the line that it's even kind of sectioning itself out for some people, because I collect everything, but I think that you guys have been good about going back and doing, like, what you're calling, I think, the vintage versions of a lot of characters, and getting Vultureman here I think is a great choice, because he has a I think a memorable and one of those characters where his vintage figure was definitely different enough from his cartoon appearance, because I'm really liking the colors and some of the details here, and it's a good combination because, like you said, it's like you can get the Sky Cutter, you can just get Vulture or you can get them both, and there's something for, I think, for everybody with this.
Yeah, and not sort of, I don't know, making it like, oh God, I got to get that one too. It's like, no. This is an easy one for you to skip if you're not looking for that level of it, right?
Yeah.
And you're not collecting at that level. So, and some people don't buy vehicles.
Right.
And so if you don't buy vehicles and you're not getting the sort of secondary colors or the vintage colors or whatever they're, whatever we're going to call them, you can be like, cool, I'm in for the next wave, which is going to be the next group of figures. And so this one's really cool. I don't know. I'm psyched on the vehicle. I think the vehicle's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, so. I agree. And it's one of those, like the Electrocharger we've already, mentioned, that the size of it, the fact that it's a flying vehicle, because sometimes, the Thunder Tank is what it is. It's amazing, but it's gigantic. I think vehicles like this lend themselves to, spaces that may not have, enough room to have some of the larger pieces in it, but it can fit into a tighter space, even like you said, hanging from the ceiling. So I think it's a good choice that is accessible to a lot of people. So
yeah, it's super fun. And then in the magazine, we'll have some at Toy Fair to give away, and then they'll go out obviously for subscribers and everything. But it's got a large article from Blake on everything's ThunderCats, whatever's been made toy wise over the years from every company. So that's really cool.
Well, that's awesome, and it's got when you mention that, it's like a lot of people like myself have fond memories about the vintage line and how large it was. But man, I haven't done a one-to-one count on things, but you guys have got to be knocking on the door or have already passed a number of releases in terms of like characters and stuff like that with the Ultimates line, and that's saying something, that it's you guys are really working on what's becoming the definitive ThunderCats line. So that's a lot of fun to be a part of.
I'm trying my best. We're gonna get as deep as people will go with us. Trust me, we've got some really cool characters in future waves. Some really cool characters. I think people are gonna be like, oh man, because everybody's got their list at that point, but it's still like, that one's badass. Even if it's not on my list, that one's badass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. This is the time for me when lines get really fun. It's like, I love to have all the essentials and you've got to get those. But when you start getting into vehicles and some of those crazy characters, that world building is where I really have a lot of fun. So I love seeing this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be happening after that too. So I did want to ask you though, because I think it's been hinted at or whatnot, and maybe they're not quite up yet, but are you guys partnering with Big Bad on bringing back some other characters too, like the Thunder Kittens and whatnot? Do you know? Yeah, I guess.
Do I know? Can I?
Should I ask? I was going to say, I'm sure you know. I should have asked if you can talk about it yet. So
yeah, I think that once again, like I'm not trying to make it. I want people to be able to collect the lines. Mm-hmm. I also want to be respectful of everybody that's bought in and paid for the lines and whatever. And we're trying to, find that sort of happy middle ground. But the Kittens are definitely something that, surprising to us, was very underserved last time. And whether that was just the financial state of where everybody was when those pre-orders went up, or any number of other things, is that they were, very, very underserved. So between both RDTC and Joel at Big Bad, we've been talking about how we sort of bring back the Thunder Kittens in a way that allows them to be able, for people to be able to collect the set. I don't want everyone to be able to pay $200 or $300 in the secondary market to get some core figures. At the same time, I'm not gonna. I can't go back and make every figure. Well, this one moved from 55 to 85. Like, and can you remake this for me again? It's like we made that 5 years ago. I can't. No.
Yeah.
But really, like those two figures definitely seem to be not just sort of like slightly under demand, like very, very under demand. And I want people to have fun with this line. So yes, we've been working on bringing back the kittens so that they are affordable to get and everybody can still have them and round out their core set.
Oh,
And it was, I think
awesome.
it was surprising to us, essentially, because obviously you have the original ones that were put out by Mattel.
Those were exclusives.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you have the ones that we put out again. And then to have the demand still be this strong was, I think, surprising. I think when we did them last time, I think it was probably a bit smaller than we expected, but they fell into that zone really sort of back half of COVID where things all of a sudden people were like, money is tight. I can't buy everything. And I don't know, I'm over talking it and saying the same things, but it's like, all right, well, if for whatever reason for everyone out there, there's a collective problem with it not being available at the scale it needs to be available at, then how do we come back and fix that so everybody's got a chance to have the whole collection?
That's cool. I remember, I can't remember, it's when I can't remember if Kit or Cat came out first, but when the second one came out, it was either there was one or the other that people were like, "Oh, I missed that one," or the other one and whatnot. So I remember right as they came together, there was some talk about that. So it's cool to see them come back, and also, to be honest, I think they're a great example of taking their reference from the cartoon and being wholly different from like even the Mattel releases that you mentioned before, because the cartoon accuracy, the size, the style of them, of the ones that you guys have put out really fit in well with everything else, and a lot better, I think, than previous releases. So I think there's probably a portion of the population who didn't come to realize that until they had been released too, and have a preference for it now. So
that's fair. I'm just glad people want them. Hey,
yeah,
just allows us to make more Thundercats.
Yeah, and that's something I think I know we've touched on it before. It was like, when you are 13 waves deep into a line, you've got to have ways of keeping those core characters available in some capacity. And with the things that you guys are doing now with, the vintage styles like this Vulture-Man, your deluxe line, doing reissues like you're talking about. I mean, I think it takes all of those different avenues to keep those core characters available for people who might just be coming onto the line now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well said, Nick.
Yeah, well, it's I'm excited because I'm a big Thundercats fan, and it's a great time to be a Thundercats fan, and with all these pre-orders and new things shipping, because like I said, 10 just got here. I think 11 is going to be here really, really, really soon. You gotta fill these giant play sets with new figures. So
yeah. Speaking of that was a great transition. He's a professional, ladies and gentlemen. Just look at that. So tell me, did you set it up by yourself, or did Robo come up and do it with you?
Weather killed us because I have had 2 snowstorms since the Cat's Lair arrived. The small box arrived the first day, and I was like, oh God, they're not together. But then the second one got there the day after, and he was set to come up a couple of days after that. I got nailed with snow. Then it happened again last week, and it was like, you know what, I'm going to take some video of it doing it, and I'm just going to do it. So that the timing of that didn't work out, but it was almost, I guess, a cathartic experience, having this massive playset that I was unboxing in a space that I custom made for it, like the second that I learned that you guys were making it, and it was like things are all, you know, starting to come together, and it was like almost overwhelming to the point with getting everything set back up. So I have a feeling this is going to be a bit of a work in progress in terms of the overall display for a while, but man, I've had a couple of people over since it's gone up, and you definitely, it's the first thing you notice when you walk in the space. So
It is big. It is big, you know, and that was sort of the whole part of the point. You know, it has to be sort of in scale with the figures. But, you know, so far, you know, aside from just manhandling in shipping, you know, we've, you know, there's a few things that have come broken because of manhandling and shipping, but for the most part, it seems like, you know, box issues aside, like it has, you know, it has arrived perfect and people are pretty stoked on it. So I don't know. I'm happy to have people have it because it's one of those things where you forget how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's the same thing. Like when the big box showed up, where you're just like, well, what the fuck is this box?
Well, and I was like, and I told my wife because she saw the first box and she's like, "Oh, that's pretty big." And I was like, "Well, I think the next box is about the size of a dishwasher box, so we'll just see what that looks like tomorrow." And I was in a meeting and I couldn't answer the door when it was delivered, so she did, and she was like, "Yeah, it's a dishwasher. Congratulations."
Congratulations, you bought a dishwasher.
But you know, it's funny because I've been fortunate enough to have gone to shows where you guys have been to see prototypes and things like that, talk to you on a regular basis about it. So a lot of the things, you know, aesthetically and whatnot, I was kind of expecting. The whole space, the whole thing with it being in your own space is something I think I'm still coming to grips with. But it was cool to really like take note of some things that we haven't talked about or you wouldn't notice until like the final product is there. And it was like, you know, I opening it up and it's like, man, the walls are thick. This is like it's big, so it's heavy, but it's heavier than you would even expect because there's a lot of plastic like reinforcing this thing. So that was really cool from kind of a nerdy like toy structural integrity point of view. That I was like, I can't believe this is what I'm thinking about right now, but it's great.
Yeah. I'm glad it's there and is standing over everything. I don't know. It's such a cool playset, and it's so cool to see people get them and finally put the whole sort of presentation around it, and just have them kind of go, "Wow!" And you know, that's just a cool feeling because it is one of those things where we're like, "This, you know, aside from the flag, this is the biggest playset there is out there."
Yeah, and well, and that's the thing. It's like I'm sitting in a bad spot, but I've got the vintage Cat's Lair on display here, and as a kid, that was one of the biggest play sets around at the time too. And I took it out and I put it on top with this, and just photographing the two next to each other, it's unreal. It's like you really don't realize it until it's in your own space. Especially compared to what has come before it. Yeah.
Then there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Cat's Lair is big.
Yeah. Well, and I thought I was going to be cute with having like a backdrop for it and everything, and I've got some shelves on the back side of it that display the other way, but those are likely going to be moved to another place because I can't have this with the back side of it closed off. I mean, you're losing I would say more than half the experience by not having that accessible. So the blue shelves behind it, I've got to find a new place for them because I need to have it in the round to really take advantage of the display.
What you're saying is that you need to have everybody at the table.
Yeah, exactly. And I have, I have doubles of everybody enough to be able to do that. So that is in the plans. But I mean, there's the screen that lights up on the interior in the back, and just how everybody can be at their, spots, and where the Sword of Omens is kept. I mean, there's just as much, if not more, going on the interior as there is on the outside. So
completely.
Yeah.
But that's the icon from the show open right there, though.
Yeah.
is, carved into the
Every,
rock.
and everybody standing on the front porch there. So I gotta pose them a little bit more dynamically. But like I said, it's a work in progress. But it's a good thing to have to work on at this point. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say at this point, except I knew what to expect, and yet it's been completely beyond what I was expecting in the space. It's so much fun, and I can't believe that you guys did it, but you did it. And lucky to those of us who are ThunderCats fans right now, because
Exactly.
it's centerpiece forever. So are you
Next up,
guys
it's a
through?
bat cave the size of your house.
Well, don't worry,
Nice.
I'm going to get to that here in a second. But how are you guys in terms of like the shipping progress for everyone?
I think there's like only one more container to go. I
Really?
think we're pretty well done. At which point, once again, then it's like, okay, what are we looking at in terms of damaged boxes? What are we looking at in terms of this or that or the other? It seems like for the most part, it's the vast majority of it is damaged boxes. The only other damage that I'm seeing is either the turrets that go under the paws.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm seeing a couple of those, and then some places where the shell comes together.
Oh yeah.
Mountain, the clips where they clip together. There's some of those interior plastic clips. It seems like maybe when things are getting moved and jostled around, that some of those clips. But other than that, it seems to be pretty much solid. Like those are the only three things that it's just sort of damage box, which is like, once again, till you get somebody trying to load that dishwasher sized box into your house, you can understand how it can get banged around, because it is very inconvenient to move. And it just seems a couple little things that just are happening here or there, and we just replace that and we're good.
Yeah, well,
At least that's what I'm seeing so far. And the only other one that I've seen that's been dramatic was one where the box was just annihilated, and so then
impaled. Yeah,
the cat's lair inside has all these broken parts. But it's like, all right, if somebody drives a forklift through the box, like
that's gonna happen. Yeah,
it's gonna break something.
Well, and we talked about it, I mean, because this box was as big as you could get, like without having to be completely palletized, right? I mean, you guys
even then, the shipping quotes that we had that we based this on, when we did the pre-order versus shipping quotes now, like that's great. This is what we quoted, but a year and months later, when this thing actually shipped, it's like that quote's no good anymore.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of work around just getting this thing shipped. Like, it's crazy.
Wow. Well, the only question I guess that remains is how are you going to outdo yourself, sir?
I'm not trying to outdo myself. That's it right there.
I think that's a good approach. Like,
we are not trying to outdo this anytime soon. By no stretch of the imagination.
That's
what you get, a sky cutter. That's where I'm following this up. Following it up with a sky cutter.
That's a nice, like, kind of, okay, catch our breath.
We're having dessert now. We're not trying to have another meal.
Well,
start with the hors d'oeuvres.
Okay. The size of the cat's lair aside, though, I still feel comfortable in not doubting the fact that some other cool non-figural pieces for our figure collections are probably in some type of works with you guys, and I'm excited to see what that might be, because as I said, it's good to have something for the bad guys that'll be going on, but there's still a lot of possibilities out there for you crazy folks.
Right as you said that, I thought of something I haven't thought of yet. A different line, and I was like, "Oh, what about that?" I had to make a note down. Oh, what about that? Well, that sparked an idea. All right, I'll shelve that later.
I was going to say, well, hopefully, whenever that is, potentially debuted in the future, we'll remember that this was the moment that it.
This was the moment where I went, "Oh, if you put that chocolate with that peanut butter, this can work.
It's going to be delicious."
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, like I said, I think this will continue to evolve, and I'll still have to be bringing it up in future conversations. But you mentioned Toy Fair, and I want to get to that in just a second. But I would be remiss because people have been asking about it, and I've been thinking about it a lot because I think even since the last time we talked, and I was really high on the new figures and arriving, is that man, I hope you're seeing it in through the channels where it counts. But I have been seeing a lot of talk and enthusiasm for Dungeons and Dragons again. So I couldn't go without mentioning that because I know Tiamat she's on her way soon, and it's like, I'm ready for some more.
Yes. D&D is right on that precipice. I would say that it still isn't quite resonating as well as I would like it to.
Okay.
I think the people that are getting it are loving it. Like, but it's sort of almost like you said, almost like with the Kittens, where you're like, people were like, well, I have the other ones. I don't know if I need this one, or things are tight. I'm not going to order that. And then they get them, and then all of a sudden the demand sort of comes afterwards. We're kind of in a little bit of wait and see on some of that D&D stuff. Like we've worked on it. It's there. I would just say that, it's I want it to happen. We've got stuff that we've worked on, but we need to see it pick up a little bit more to really be able to jump into the next wave. The next wave's ready whenever we're ready. But, with the first wave, it's like, okay, how do we make sure there's enough people to kind of finish buying the first wave, if that makes any sense?
Okay.
Okay,
well,
but I would say that as a whole, the response has been extremely strong from the people that have gotten them. Just that group is pretty small still, and we're hoping it will widen up a little bit. So it's not for lack of want, it's going to be for lack of interest. But right now it's like, well, then maybe it just takes a little longer between waves, and we can get everybody up and running on that and feeling good about it again. We're just going to have to see.
Okay. Well, I have the inability to shut up about things that I am.
No, that's all right. I'm happy
so,
to. Look, there is nothing more than I would like, because there's some very obvious holes that you're like, why aren't the next wave? Most everybody can pretty well, like, between this 6 characters, we know that 4 of them are going to be out of this 6. Like, it's very obvious who's coming, like who would be in the next wave. It's like, but we gotta get there. And I hate to. Normally, I'm not the person that's sitting here going, well, people aren't buying it, they're not supporting it. Like, I'll give it legs and we'll run. But I think even for us, we're like, oh, that was disappointing. We knew it was going to be a harder lift coming out of the figures that were just made for Hasbro. And whether or not people believe there's enough of a difference between the two lines. But, once people have them, they're like, oh, these are radically different. But if not enough people have them to get enough other people excited about it, then I don't know.
Well, I'm going to continue to talk about them, and I know that Robo got on board as well with them recently. So, and I know he's glad he was, because as you said, the difference that having them in hand between what's already been offered is you really see it then. And the guys at Toy Hunters Hollow, I know they're excited about them too. So
they're wonderful.
I know they're going to continue to talk about it.
It is their favorite thing in the world. Shout out to those 2 guys. Rob and Damien are great, very nice, sweet people. They're as big a toy fans as you're going to find out there. And
we gotta.
Hey,
we got it. We got to just keep talking about it, and so we can see some more.
Yeah, that was a line. I think we've talked about it before. I chased that for almost 6 years.
Yeah.
Before we were able to finally get it, and so there's nobody on this list, even for you, Rod and Damien, that wants to get into the weeds of D&D more than me. which is why we have a glowing skeleton already. I'm like, come on, bring it on, Dekion.
Yeah.
There's so many cool places to go. I mean, the Tiamat, like I said, and I think with D&D, and this may be the optimist in me speaking, I think with D&D, especially with Tiamat getting here and some other stuff, you're really gonna, see that undercurrent, that group of people excited about it, having it sort of swell back up so that it becomes something that we can really get into on a regular basis. But it's sort of pushed back a little bit right now, but sort of like it's ready whenever we feel like the fandom is ready.
Well, Tiamat arriving when she's going to, I think, will be. If I was going to say, as much as I love it, if Tiamat isn't going to be the one that you bring in as your ringer to help with that kind of thing, I don't know what it would be. So I'm going to bet that she gets released and does her job and helps with some of that. I would say.
I would hope so. I would think so. I mean, come on. Well, who doesn't need giant dragons?
Especially 5-headed dragons that can. I'm excited. So what, May? I guess May can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, it's surprisingly soon. We're waiting to sort of see final production sample, and then they I don't know if they finished pulling the vinyl before CNY or if they're finishing it after CNY and then painting happens afterwards or not. But then it's like, then it ships in. I think it ships in March to land in late April to ship in May.
I'm ready.
It's not far away, but like right now, you've got like 3 people back at every one of our factories.
Yeah.
We were literally in a staff meeting today, and they sent a picture from one of the factories where they have, the lines of people set up, and they're all taped off, and there's like 2 people and just all empty seats everywhere. And it's like, no one's back yet.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime for that though, there is that whole toy fair thing that's going on. At the end of next week, we're less than 2 weekends away from it. So you guys are going to be there. We're going to be there. It's at a little different time after not being around for a long time, but I guess this is the new normal for it. So how's it shaping up for you guys?
I don't know about how's it shaping. I mean, we're going. We're excited. It's sort of I feel like it's a bit back to normal. It's like, we're not going to do New York Toy Fair anywhere else. It's sort of like San Diego Comic-Con. It's like it's in San Diego.
Yeah.
You move that to Vegas, I'm not going.
Yeah.
New York Toy Fair is New York Toy Fair. It's the industry moment. It's really sort of centered around that. There's going to be some cool stuff that we're showing off. There's going to be some cool reveals. There's going to be exciting new things for you and your friends to see and talk about.
That's the thing. I mean, I know things have changed dramatically, but it was like, it used to be and it still kind of is to that. Toy Fair and Comic-Con, those are the big reveal shows, and you get to talk to people and see what's coming next, and it's exciting. I'm still as excited about going to Toy Fair as I've ever been. So it's a fun time. It's a different show, and like you said, I think it gives an opportunity to show new stuff off in kind of a different way than San Diego offers. So I can't wait to see what you guys have going.
Yeah, I think, the week leading up to it, I think we are announcing a bunch of new licenses that we're working on. And then we'll have a bunch of new stuff to show off for the first time at the event. So that'll be pretty cool. I think in general, it's going to be really cool, really fun. And I think there's some stuff that we're going to show off where people are like, oh, didn't see that coming, or totally been waiting for that for years. And it's about time they got to it. But there's going to be a lot of cool stuff for people to see.
Nice. Well, it's also good because we generally get to do a little bit of recording live on the spot. So the March edition of this will be live and in person, and so I always enjoy and appreciate actually being able to stand and show you the things that we're standing in front of and talking about. So
I don't have anything to show you today. Oh, hey, look what I got. I don't have that.
It was a good time to talk about ThunderCats, though, because I have stuff to show back here. So that was good.
Good. I'm just so happy to finally have this in people's hands, because it's that same thing. I don't want to belabor the point, but it's like it's gigantic, and when you get it, it's really like it. When you really open it for that first time and it's final and finished, and you unfold the rock walls and everything, you're like, "There's never been anything quite like this."
Yeah, if it doesn't bring you joy, you need to find a new hobby, because I don't know what's gonna be out there for you here. So yeah, a lot of fun, and I'm excited, and I'll continue to be excited about it. And we're gonna go to Toy Fair, and there's a lot going on, and
there's a bunch going on at Toy Fair. You're gonna pick up your brand new issue of Toy Collector magazine.
Yeah,
and it's gonna have giant history of Thundercats in it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
And tangible media where you can look at that sky cutter and like hold the picture actually in your hand. So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. It was funny because with the funniest part was, is that Blake revealed the cover of Toy Collector on a web show. I can't remember whose show he did it on, but I didn't know he was going to be doing that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he was going to do it. And then all of a sudden I start getting tagged in the image. And I'm like, who leaked it? What? We didn't do this, did we? Where did this come from? And then it was like, no. Blake was on this thing and he showed it. I'm like, oh, okay. Calm down. But like, I was like, for a second, like that we messed something up or somebody found it someplace else on our side and that we had messed up Blake's reveal. I was like, oh God. And then it was like, Blake did it. I was like, okay. As long as Blake did it, we're fine.
Well, I'm glad everything worked out, and looking forward to when the pre-orders open for that once 12 is done. And man, Thundercats crazy.
When is that? I think it's May.
Okay,
I think it's May.
That sounds about right. As far as space in between series, so that's good.
I would have to go here. Yeah, I'm not going to find it right in this one.
That's okay. I mean, May makes
I think it's
sense.
I'm fairly certain it's May.
It's like 4 months in between, so that's about right on schedule with the schedule that you normally keep. So perfect timing. So people can start to plan for that right away, and so no surprises, and it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of cool stuff in store for Thundercats for the year. Obviously, if we talk about, so not to rehash, but like Wave 11 is going to be delivering. Wave 12's up right now.
Yep.
Cat's Lair just landed. Wave 13 we revealed with the Sky Cutter and everything. I'm sure there's going to be something happening at San Diego Comic-Con. And we've got Wave 14 in the back half of the year. Like, there's plenty going on in Thundercats land, along with, hopefully the Kittens coming back and a few other things. So, and then what else is going to happen with the deluxe line, and then what's going to happen with the vintage line. Like, there's a lot of Thundercats goodness coming for you this year.
The year, well, it's the year of the snake, but it can also be the year of the cat. So we'll take that. We'll take that too.
We'll take that.
We'll take that. All right. Well, I appreciate you as always being generous with your time, and like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing you in person in less than 2 weeks. So we'll chat then. But as always, I'm enjoying seeing people get their Cats Lairs, and I'm sure we'll continue that all the way up and through Toy Fair. So again, thanks for joining us, and thanks for making it happen.
Yes. And maybe one other thing. Somebody had asked, I think somebody with Eggman had asked if they could get a digital file of like the base that we used, the floor map that we used on display at San Diego. So we're working on that. So we're going to be making that as a downloadable PDF that you can get if you want to put the base map underneath it. That'll be uploaded soon. I'll announce it obviously, but it'll be a thing where you can just download and print your own map base like the one that we used at San Diego for your playset.
That'll be a lot better than a plain white tabletop on here. So, all right, I'll be getting that printed out. So that's cool. That's cool. That's a great little piece. So
Yeah.
thanks for the details.
There's your exclusive
yeah.
nugget.
There's the exclusive. It's a play mat. Here we go.
Play mat that you get to pay for yourself.
And print all on your own. What fascinating modern times we live in. So.
Yeah. Head out to your local Kinko's and use the oversized printer.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do it. All right. Well, thank you again, and everybody. We'll be back soon for more chats next time from New York. So until then, we'll catch you later.
See you.